ayes have it. Petition. Martyn Day.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I rise to present a petition on behalf of the residents of Linlithgow and East Falkirk in relation to protection of the Amazon rainforest. The deforestation of the Amazon is a considerable environmental threat to us all, and it is contributing to the forest's inability to recover from drought, fire and landslides. The petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urges the government to encourage the Brazilian government to protect forest land and end large-scale deforestation to prevent nearly half of the Amazon rainforest from collapsing, and that these irreversible consequences for the Amazon and the planet are avoided, and the petitioners remain, etc.
Petition, protection of the Amazon rainforest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Petition, Caroline Nokes.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I present this petition on the popular uprising in Iran on behalf of residents of Southampton North who wish to protest against the violent repression of women and young people in Iran and by the Iranian regime. More than 500 of my constituents in Romsey and Southampton North have also signed an associated petition. These petitioners note the atrocities committed have been categorised as crimes against humanity by the UN Special Rapporteur. The petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urge the government to condemn the Iranian government's violent crackdown on protests led by women and youth, support democratic movements in Iran and put pressure on the Iranian regime to stop the repression. And the petitioners remain, etc.
Petition, popular uprising in Iran.
Thank you. Petition, Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I rise to present a petition on behalf of my constituents regarding the recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry. Can I pay tribute to the Honourable Lady for Kingston upon Hull North? She has done tremendous work and she's been the motivation for us all, and I thank her for that. There are 100 people that I know of in Northern Ireland awaiting compensation, and with each month that passes, so too does their health fail. The Act itself is regretful. The continued paralysis in implementing the compensation scheme is reprehensible and must be rectified as a priority for this House. The petition states, the petitions of residents of the constituency of Strangford declares that people who have received infected blood and who have suffered as a consequence have, along with their families, waited far too long for redress. The petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urges the government to implement the recommendations in the second interim report of the Infected Blood Inquiry without delay, and the petitioners remain, etc. Thank you.
Petition, recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry.
Thank you.
Petition, Robin Walker.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I rise to present a petition of my constituents in Worcester, which declares that people who received infected blood and who have suffered as a consequence have, along with their families, waited far too long for redress. The petitioners therefore request the House of Commons urges the government to implement the recommendations in the second interim report of the Infected Blood Inquiry without delay. And my petitioners on this petition include a constituent who lost her mother to this scandal, a constituent, dear friend of mine and long-standing councillor, former chairman of my association, who lost his beloved wife and the mother of his children, and a constituent who was infected as a child with HIV and hepatitis but went on to found the Tainted Blood campaign. And the petitioners remain, etc.
Petition, recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry.
Thank you. Petition, Wendy Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I rise, like the Honourable Member for Strangford and others, with a petition on behalf of the residents of the constituency of North East Fife in relation to the recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry. And like the Honourable Member for Strangford, I would pay tribute to the Right Honourable Member for Kingston and Hull North in relation to this. Mr Deputy Speaker, two of the families directly impacted in North East Fife came into my office on Friday to give wet signatures to this petition. One lost his father as a result, who had hepatitis C as a result, and another's husband was infected as a child at school. I would only go on to say that my petition is in the same terms as others who are presenting petitions on this subject, and the petitioners remain, etc.
Petition recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry.
Petition Alex Davies-Jones.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'm proud to also present this petition to show my support for all those who have been impacted and continue to suffer from the infected blood scandal. I want to pay tribute to the tireless campaigning of those affected and the work of my friend, the Honourable Member for Kingston upon Hull North, for their fight for justice and compensation. This is an issue of particular importance to the people of my constituency of Pontypridd, both from those who have got in touch with me to advocate for justice and for those who are sadly victims of this scandal. To name a few for whom I have the utmost respect for: Gerald Stone, Maynard Ellen Gooch, Jodie Sugar, Owen Clear Harris and Tony Lane. They have waited far too long and they demand justice. Thank you.
Petition recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry.
Petition Barbara Keeley.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I join a number of right honourable colleagues in presenting a petition on the same terms on behalf of constituents in Worsley and Eccles South who are seeking justice for families affected by the NHS infected blood scandal. And I too pay tribute to my right honourable friend, the member for Kingston upon Hull for her wonderful work. But I also pay tribute to my constituents, Claire Dixon, Ian Dixon and Olivia Dixon, who are seeking justice on behalf of Claire's late mother, Nora Worthington, who was infected with HIV through a routine blood transfusion in 1982 and who died through an AIDS-related illness in 1993. They, like other families, have waited far too long for redress. So the petitioners therefore request that the House of Commons urges the Government to implement the recommendations in the second interim report of the Infected Blood Inquiry without delay, and the petitioners remain, etc.
Petition recommendations of the Infected Blood Inquiry.